Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Oh my God, I believed every second of it. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, that filter is unbelievable. I truly was like, I mean, okay, this is good because this is a good topic to start with. Test. I think it's working. I think it's all set up fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Great, let's just go with that. Okay, here's what's great about the porno stash. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So for the listeners, I came on to where we are now.
Which is a Zoom call.
That's what this is called.
They're not a sponsor.
And Cassidy Jamal Brown had a porno stash, a porn mustache on his upper lip.
The big old thick cop stash, porn stash.
Cop stash. 70s porn vibes. And I was like, welp, we're just going to have to make fun of him. That's the only decision available to me. I mean, I thought about supporting you and love. I thought about it. But I can't do it. I couldn't do it. It would just have to be comedy forever. Then I was foiled because he was not actually having a stash on his face made of hairs, it turns out.
I was using a filter. Filters are ridiculous now. Like all of the ones on, they're like, see yourself as an old person. And or just the pretty ones. Like nobody on Instagram actually looks like they look like, but they're so flawless that we can't believe anything ever about anything.
I really thought you had a porn stash.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the porn stash? It was really, you looked, okay.
It looks good.
No, it works. You could pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm giving you shit for funsies, but you could totally pull that off.
I'm tempted.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I was at the farmer's market the other day and there was a gaggle of dudes. You ever see like when people hang out and they look so alike each other that you're like, something's not right here.
Yes.
There were 4 men, same height. They were all about exactly 6'4", super buff, all wearing tank tops, different colors, different brand names on them, but they all had tank tops. They all had the porn stash, and they all were like handsome, buff dudes with the porn stash. There were pretty, skinny, blonde ladies with each of them.
Oh, see, I was going to go total Castro with that description.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, were you in the Castro of Jacksonville?
Well, here's my theory. It's a fair question. We were at a farmer's market. Either what was happening was these are gay men who are not out yet, who are like, we're hipster, edgy hipster bitches, but we're not gay. We like pussy. Or they're actual hipster, edgy dudes. That's what I wanted to talk about, is the hipster phenomenon of the stash seems to be back again.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you find that? Because I found that it came and it went, and it came and it went, and it's back again.
Does it go along with trucker hats?
I have a trucker hat now. I live in Florida. I have one.
It's handed to you at the border when you apply for your driver's license change.
It's funny because I bought it in New York at the coffee shop I went to every day, and I never wore it there. I only wear it here.
Why aren't you wearing it? I want to see it.
You want to see? It's really cool, actually. I like it. It's just a hat. It's for sun.
This is a stupid hat. Who cares?
No.
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you noticed that the porn stash is back, or is that just me?
I haven't been in public much.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've seen it. Groups of humans. Rami and I were walking over to the uptown area to get some dinner, and from our house, you walk to a certain part of town, and huge group of, I was like, oh, this is one of the things that Oakland is, which is awesome. It was just the most it was a very modern Benetton ad. It was ethnically just diverse in all the ways, like just chaos, like wonderful chaos, and queer as fuck, but not all of them, but maybe queer in the way that I have no idea where your gender lands or who you sleep with. Like you could be a quote straight man who's presenting, it was just everything. And it was a whole crowd of folk. Like one guy was super tall and wearing pants that went up to right under his
nips.
Boobs. His nips. Like, he looked like a friend of mine who was female identifying person who I was like, "Oh, if that person didn't have a beard, I'd think it was Xena," you know? And I was just like it was just one of those moments, and Rami had picked up a crow feather, raven, crow, I never know which one it is. That's a whole other story I'll tell you about,
Okay.
and was like, "I'm gonna go give it to one of them." Just because we're weird and they're weird and wonderful, way, yay.
Yay, goofiness.
Yeah, and Rami went up, and they just did not know what to do with it. The person that they handed it to was like, thank you."
Okay, can I just really fast interject? Here's my theory about why that happened. Pony, it's okay. It's a dog. That is weirdo behavior from the 80s and 90s and 70s.
What, giving someone something?
Just being like, it's all oneness. We just break the walls. We're just
Yeah.
You're weird. We're weird. Feather, friend. Nope. Not
Nope.
now.
No, we know these people. We trust this group of weirdos, but we don't know other weirdos.
The kids today, weirdos. They're different. It's a different thing. They don't need all that. What's all that? Nope, we're still cool. That's the thing. They're not ostracized now the way we were.
They weren't outsiders.
Yes, they don't need us to be like special feather friends because they're like, we're on the cover of all the ads. What are you talking about?
True. Yeah. Respect your elders, okay? Look, we're the ones who laid the groundwork. I am not, because I'm not a weirdo. I mean, I am, but I don't present as a weirdo in the world.
Yes, you fucking do.
Really?
Yes.
Do you think I'm walking down the street and someone's like, "Oh, look, a weirdo"?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it. I love that idea. I'm pleased with that thought.
Cassidy, have you met yourself before?
Yeah, but not my trappings and presentation.
I guess because the way you move, talk, and dress.
Right. Also, I'm so boring right now with my dress. I really want to get back to wearing cool, fun, interesting clothes because I haven't presented myself in public for so long.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think, to me, the word weirdo is so innately fused with awesome that I don't have...
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess to me, like, because if I picture you anytime I've ever interacted with you, and then I picture like normal people of our generation,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a vibe you can just tell.
Mm-hmm. I hope so.
They are in the box. They're in the box. They're like,
Sure.
the box matters. I value the box. I'm in the box, and you're weird if you're not in the box. And you're like, your body says to me, what box? Your body says it. Your body just emanates.
Okay.
Box?
Boxlessness, or I want a different box. Yeah, I mean, I was like in high school, I was, one of the theater kids, so that made me dorky in a certain way. And yeah, and I definitely I think I presented, when Pretty in Pink came out and we met Ducky.
Oh, Ducky.
The character played by John Cryer.
Yeah.
Talk about representation matters. Like, sure, I had plenty of white men all over the place, everywhere you turned.
But no weirdos.
But I had never seen the person who was doing what I was trying to do with myself. And I was like, oh, a person that is representing a vibe, a thing I'm going for. And also then it helped sculpt my fashion even after that. I'd be like, buy clothes that were even more like Ducky.
Interesting.
Helped guide.
Now when I hear you say that, I realize there weren't any characters I ever saw and identified with, nor was I looking to. It's interesting. I just have always been a 6'2". I'm off the hexagram, man. You know what I'm saying.
Can write fucking 6'2s. What? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, the 6...
I know that's something on the
human design.
It's human design. That's
6'2s. It's a whole topic.
No.
I can't even. We'll come back to that. But truly, I never see, this is part of my unique weirdness, is I never was sad that I couldn't find myself out there. Who are the others like me? I was lonely until I met my other weirdo friends, and then I felt less lonely. But I never felt like they were like me, and I was like, thou, I am, the me is here, reflected correctly. So I have had to learn that when folks need that more, I have to go, yep, yes, okay. But I now understand more about why that is. It's some of it is white privilege, obviously.
Right, because you were in a broader sense being reflected. So as a result, you were in the oceans. You didn't have to know that wasn't there.
Right. I am the ocean. So who needs to see the ocean when you are the ocean?
Right.
Yes. And I'm so weird and so far removed. The 6'2", okay, I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain it. Okay. In human design, we have the first line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, sixth line. There's only 6 lines. Okay. There's lots of other things, but there's 6 lines. The lines 1 through 5, they literally build the hexagram of life. Or another way to say that is if you think of everything in this reality as, let's say, a matrix of consciousness, the lines build the fabric of the matrix. So if you picture like, let's pick any form, like the flower of life.
Okay.
You know the flower of life image? Okay. Imagine it as a 3-dimensional object, like a sphere.
Okay.
Made of a flower of life, all inside of it. So it's a web of flower of life. The outside is a flower of life. And we'll call that reality. Okay. Each person in their human design has what's called a profile. You have a profile. I have a profile. It's those 2 numbers with the slash between. Mine is the 6'2". Yours, I can't remember right now. Do you remember? Okay. We should pull it up sometime.
Keep talking. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
What's the website that we've been using?
I use jovianarchive.com.
I forget which one I have already have a profile. I have my body graph.
Okay, go for it. I'm going to wait until you're ready because this is complicated and I want your full attention because I'm a weird lady. Who's giving me kisses? My dog is not, but I want her to. Squeeze out the dog. I also have to tell you about my jet skiing adventures this weekend. And I fell in love with 3 people.
Yes, you did. I can't wait to hear. Let's see.
I need you to do me a favor. Just give me the info so I can stare at it because I know some stuff.
Okay, I'll just give you all the
Yeah,
profile.
give me a second. Let me pull it up and then I'll ask you for the things and we'll do the things. Okay, the time to the minute.
3:30 p.m.
Precisely.
That's what it says on my thing.
The city state.
California, Oakland, California.
It's a test. Everybody fails. Don't worry. Okay. Oh, you're 1-3. Of course you are. Okay.
Okay.
That's so annoying. Of course you're a Cancer. Of course you are.
I just look at how empty my fucking centers all are. There's just no.
Except for those manifestor channels.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Boom, bam.
All right. Does this look exactly like the thing you're looking at?
Let's see. Square, triangle, big channel, half a channel.
Are these the same color as the ones you have? These channels?
Black, red, half black and half red on that far right lower one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then black. Yep.
Okay. Wow. I know so much more now since the last time I looked at this. This is fun.
I guess we're doing another human design episode. Let's do it. That's good. It's fucking fascinating.
For a second. We don't have to do the whole thing because we got to talk about jet skiing, dolphins, yours and Rami's trip.
Oh my God. So much happens in the last 48 hours.
There's a new dog in my house from Bolivia. We got a lot of shit to cover. I'm in love with 3 people.
I have a story that I have to be politic about, so I won't tell all of it, but I will share part of it.
See?
Yeah.
We got a lot to do.
All right.
This is just a moment in time right here.
This is just a moment. Okay, back to your 6'2".
The whole point of us talking about this is I wanted to know what your profile is, and you're a 1-3. I'm just going to talk about profile for a second. So I'm a 6'2". Now, remember, we talked about the flower of life is a sphere in this metaphor, okay? The fabric of reality is made up of these lines. The people, in this metaphor, people's role in their lives is determined by their profile. So if life is a play, your role is the 1-3.
Right.
Okay. Now, what the hell does the 1-3 mean? The 1 is the first line. The 3 is the third line. Lines 1 through 5 make up the very hexagram of human beings in this reality. Notice, I am a 6. That is not any number between 1 and 5.
You are not human.
Well, no, here's how they talk about it. The 6'2" is living off the hexagram. We are outside the fabric if the flower of life sphere is where humans are, we live off of it and we look back at it and describe it to everyone. Does that not sound like Katie Rubin?
Sounds pretty close to Katie Rubin to me.
Okay, now.
So like you were not looking to be reflected because you were not to be reflected because you were outside of it.
That's what I'm actually quite serious. Like that.
No, I'm with you.
Okay. I literally, there's a way that can sound, oh, you're privileged, so you get that. No, you have to, I am that weird. I'm that far out. I don't relate. There is a pane of glass between me and everything. They talk about the 6'2" when we go on the roof, which is the middle section of life from 28 to 50. The 6'2" is on the roof. And when you climb up on the roof, it's because you're climbing out of the chaos of the first third of life, which is usually very, very chaotic for a 6'2", very trauma, blah, blah, blah. The middle section, you're healing and you're up on the roof and there's a distance between you and the rest of humanity. And you feel like you're watching it, like you're not really in it. Then at age 50, you get shoved off the roof by consciousness back into reality, oftentimes not so happily, because a 6'2" between age 42 and 49 tends to be like, oh, finally, I'm comfortable in my skin. I get who I am. I'm a hermit. I got it. The two body is a hermit body, which I have one of. And you're like, people come to me here on my mountain and I do my job and it's fine. And I'm real good. And I've worked through my resistance to it. Yay. And then at age 50, they're like, now go enter the world. And you're like, I don't want to now. And that's the journey of the 6'2".
So you have that to look forward to.
I know, it's a real thing that I'm processing. So anyway, that's why I think when I watched all these movies, I was like, this is great entertainment. What a fun time. I don't know who those people are. I don't relate. And then I always felt weird because people would say, I'm the Jennifer Aniston. I'm the Ross. I'm the Ducky. I'm the whoever. And I'd be like, I am not in that show.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I didn't give any fucks because I realized the me not being in the show is me. I'm the producer. I'm watching the show. I'm not fucking, you get it.
I think I'm probably the Chandler.
Okay, of Friends?
I'm like Chandler meets...
I think you're Ross, babe.
Meets Ross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am more of a Ross, but I have a little bit of that Chandler distance.
Let me think of who. No, you know who's Chandler? Scott Lifton is Chandler.
Scott Lifton is 100% Chandler.
Yeah, you're a Ross.
Ah, fuck. He's irritating.
Okay, let's be real.
He's so irritating.
No, he's not. I love Ross.
Ross, he's just, we were on a break. Like, shut up. Just stuff it, you whiny punk.
Do you remember the joke Rami made about you in our voice text yesterday?
And just making fun of me, giving you information. Yeah, I Rossed it.
You were literally Rossing, and Rami literally Jennifer Aniston did.
And you are?
Phoebe.
Of course you are, because Phoebe's the outsider, the weirdo, the wonderful person who doesn't quite, but everyone loves, but also is not quite, and also doesn't seem to be grounded in reality.
Exactly. She's a 6'2". So in brief, let's talk, because we talked about me a lot there. Let's touch on your 1-3, what it means. The first line is the building of the foundations. The first line is always looking for what it's an exploratory, an investigator. It's like, what is this reality? What's
Are you saying that's a one line, or that is the first of the two lines that we're describing?
The first line, the one line.
Great, the one line. My one is an investigator type.
You're an investigator. You're trying stuff on. You're exploring. It's a very personal destiny. Your destiny is all about you knowing yourself and exploring your experience. The first line is always looking to build foundations. It likes to have stability and set up foundations, but it's figuring out in its life, what foundations am I building? What structures do I care about? What foundations are required for all the people around me and myself? That's your conscious personality line. The second line is the unconscious body line. So it's who your body is, the kind of body you have. You have a third line body. The third lines are doing a lot of trial and error. They try this on, it doesn't work. They try that on, it doesn't work. They're here literally to teach us. They come away with a lot of insight about what does and what does not work. And Ra talks a lot about how people are obsessed with what does work, but the third line is really good at figuring out what doesn't, and it can judge itself for that. But when we don't have people around us who don't know what doesn't work, like if you don't have any cynics, if you don't have any skeptics, then nobody's calling bullshit on anything. And that's literally what Ra describes the third line as. So anyway, you're a 1-3, so you're an investigator. I can't remember the one word they use to describe the third line, but you're an investigator who's trial and erroring through this life, and that is correct for you.
Checks out.
Which sounds like Ross and Ducky.
It's true. Yeah.
And I want to say, I'm going to unscreen share now. I actually sincerely love Ross. Maybe the most. But I will say it took me a while. Like I had to grow into my Ross love by growing up a little as a person. Because Ross is hilarious because of how sincere he is about what matters to him. Everything matters to fucking Ross.
I love that description. That is, and maybe it is like the Enneagram. Like the one you least want to identify with is probably the one you are. the Friendseagram, the Ennea friends.
That's really good. I like Ennea friends.
I'm sure they have been typed, and I'm 100% sure someone has made a list of Enneagram types for the Friends cast.
For sure.
And, because there's not enough of them, you had to go deep. You had to be like, and Gunter is the 9, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he takes everything seriously, but that's what you love about him. And I've watched that show so many times at this point that by the end of it, I'm just like, Ross is the funniest character there because he can't see that what he thinks matters doesn't matter
to the other people, to anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's so funny. And then, yeah. And like, of course you want to be the hot girls. You want to be Jennifer or you want to be Monica because they're hot, or sorry, Rachel or Monica, because they're like center of attention, normal, in the box, pretty. Everybody wants to date them. You don't want to be the weirdo on the couch playing bad music. But
I only want to relate to her. I don't want to relate to Monica or Rachel because they're just a bundle. Everybody's a bundle. Yeah, I think Chandler's sarcastic distance is appealing to me because he doesn't seem to be as among them.
Right, that's why you want to be Chandler, but you're Ross.
But I'm Ross. Okay, this is all to say, right. So your type was not reflected or you were not reflected because you didn't need it to be, or it just wasn't. It's not need. It's like, that's that whole thing about like, what lenses we're looking through. It is interesting to think about all the different ways in which we establish like psychological health rules.
Yeah.
And try and apply them universally.
Right.
And, sometimes we can be pretty broad in that, like, do self-care. Sure. But when you start to drill down at all, it's like, yeah, but self-care.
What does that mean?
Totally different. For this person, it means work harder. For that is self-care for that person, and it should be. And they need to know that. They can't just go like, get a spa day. No, fuck a spa day. And that's going to lead us to our story about our experience this last 24 hours.
Yeah. And to be fair, I want to own a little bit more than I did in that first part, is that, if we look at what's the show we're talking about with Ducky, that's
Pretty in Pink. That was a movie.
So I'm definitely not Molly Ringwald, but kinda. And I'm definitely not. Is that the one with Ali Sheedy? No, that's
Breakfast Club with everybody.
What are the character archetypes?
James Spader is the douchey rich guy. Andrew McCarthy is Blaine, the rich kid who falls in love with the weird girl.
That's the douchey rich guy?
So Blaine is Andrew McCarthy. He's the nice guy because he falls in love with Molly Ringwald, but he's being advised by James Spader, like, don't date that trash. And then Molly Ringwald is the quote poor girl, poor-ish.
So she's weird.
Relative. She's not a soc. She's a townie.
Okay.
If we go with that concept, and she's weird in that she like makes her own fashion. She has a single father who loves her very much, but is challenged. Like he can't keep a job and And so she has to like build her own clothes. And so she makes cool fashion choices. So she's a creative. And then Ducky is just her best friend.
Nerd weirdo.
Who is in love with her, but that is not
reciprocated.
She doesn't see him like that.
Mm-hmm. What are the other female archetypes?
There is the woman who owns the record store, I want to say that she works at, or wherever Molly works. She has Annie Potts, her boss, who is like the elder statesman weird woman.
Okay.
That's you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could go with that. That is me.
She's the one going like, honey.
Don't worry about it.
Men are difficult and you're young and it's hard and fucking what the fuck, right? You're a beautiful butterfly, whatever. But she's also kind of punk rock and weirdo.
And she's sort of outside the world of the film.
Right. She literally is outside. She is outside of the high school. So like the high school becomes the world and she is, yeah.
That's the 6'2". And the 6'2" is the hermit role model. And that's the Annie Potts. She's a weirdo role model. You look up to her, you get some wisdom from her, but she's like kind of over there.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's good. Okay.
So fun. Like any well-constructed archetypical movie that is well-constructed and has the sort of, we could call them archetypes, we could call them tropes, we could call them all those things. Like you can break down so many of these now and be like either with an Enneagram type or with a...
I mean, if we were to look at the Breakfast Club, because what I'm trying to do here is own that, like, sure, I'm outside all the things, but also there's usually a character who represents that also.
Right.
So, like, in the Breakfast Club, you could say, so we've got Ali Sheedy, who's, like, super weird, goth.
She's gothy. She's what would be now goth, but she was just like more like girl, possibly even on the spectrum, kind of internal and shy and awkward and stuck.
And then there's Molly Ringwald, who's popular.
Popular and miserable. Everyone's miserable in different ways.
Yep. And then there's the sport guy, the drug guy.
Right.
The nerd.
The smart guy, the nerd smart.
Is there another female I'm forgetting? Or is it just Molly and Allie?
I think it's just Molly and Allie, and then the 3 boys. And then there's the principal.
Oh.
But that doesn't count. He's
the best.
Yeah. See, you think you're him. You keep everyone trapped in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we can all be represented in all those. I'm probably Andrew McCarthy. I mean, I'm probably Anthony Michael Hall, the nerd in that.
Probably.
In that one.
Yeah.
And I would want to be
this guy.
Yeah, I would want to be Judd Nelson, but in order to be Judd Nelson, you have to come from an abusive household. Like literally, that's the.
Or you have to be an asshole.
But that's also the sort of trope, how that trope operates.
They're assholes.
Like he has to be from an abusive household.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew has to come from. I mean, Andy, the nerd has to come from a high pressure household.
Yeah.
A loving and supportive and high pressure.
That's good.
Yeah, everybody has to have the household they're coming from too, I feel like.
Great. So how does this bleed into your experience this weekend, you were going to say?
However, how that bleeds is the idea of like how we actually all need different things and how things should operate or not how they do operate in our experiences.
For example?
Well, we went to... So Rami and I were celebrating a milestone in our life and decided to go to... We were like, let's find an adventure, a something we can do that is fun, thrilling, and together, like a whee thing to do. So we were thinking about going to an amusement park, but then Rami went to an amusement park and rode some roller coasters and had a terrible time. It was like, oh, turns out I hate roller coasters. That's more their story to tell. Maybe that'll come up later at a future date. But so I was like, okay, let's not do that. And then we went to do zip lining in the redwoods way up outside of Sebastopol and Occidental. Just that'll be fun. It's, you're clipped in and it's safe and all that stuff. And it's thrilling and it'll be beautiful and soaring, the majesty.
Right.
These are the ways, we love trees, we love nature, but we'll also be flying above them in a thrilling way.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Was it both of you who wanted a wee, or was it Rami who wanted that?
I love a wee. Rami, though, I think suggested that as something that would be good for us to do, and I was like, that's great. And then in the other part of like my journey versus their journey is like, I don't have a good history of being the one who creates the thing and and finds the thing to do, says, let's have this adventure. So I was sort of tasked with that. It was like, let's, find that thing. So I thought I looked at it, found this and sent it to Rami. Rami was like, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. Yay. Wonderful. We were super on board.
Okay, wait, real fast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because now I'm wanting to learn from every piece of this. I think I just heard you say you tend to not be good at being the one who chooses the thing.
Right. Or goes out and finds it and says, plans it or creates it.
Okay. So in this case, you were that.
I were that.
Because
that was requested.
Uh-huh. So you said yes to a thing that maybe...
No, I wanted to do had this been what someone else brought, Rami, for example, I would have been like, that sounds awesome. Yes. I just tend to be the one who doesn't do the research.
Yeah.
I tend to be the one who goes, cool, thanks.
So you were trying to not be that.
Yeah, I was going to be the instigator.
Right. So you weren't being you.
Interesting. Right.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Go ahead.
Great.
Because when we learn, not to shame you, but because
Yeah.
for me, it's like every time I look at, oh, look at that, I was trying to be a thing as opposed to being what I am.
Right.
It never fucking takes me where I want it to go.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and that leads into what happened on our experience. We go up there, get up really early in the morning, drive up there, doing a little training. It's thrilling. My heart is beating. My heart is racing. I'm having a good thrill. Rami is also a good thrill. I'm just trying to decide. I think I'm just going to tell you what my experience was.
Okay.
Because the rest is Rami's own story.
Yes.
So here's how I experienced every moment on that zip line.
Okay.
Wait. We're in a group of 8 people, and some of the people are these 3 women who are maybe sisters, perhaps, or friends. Were
not your friends, other people. Okay.
No, I didn't know anybody else. They're very oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. And then, okay, I'm going to do it. Are you sure? A lot of fear, but a lot of excitement. I don't think I can do this. And then they go and they do it. And I think they're having literally the experience that is prescribed.
Oh.
Right? In this context, in my mind.
Okay. Okay.
At least for them. Every time I got up there, I was super I was a little scared, but not I was just ooh, okay, it's my turn. Yay. Okay, here I go.
Right.
Climb up on the thing, you hold the thing, they clip you into the next thing. It's your turn. Okay, turn and release. And every time I went, it was so I'll just describe what I just did. A moment, half second of here I go. And now I'm zipping down the line. Okay, look around. Maybe that'll be beautiful. Well, I'm just kind of zipping past it real fast. And then that zip line is over. Okay, and now I'm on the thing. How was it?
So it was boring?
It was boring. Boring. I think I went a little numb inside each time.
Huh.
And part of that was the expectation of what I wanted it to be.
Uh-huh.
But also it just wasn't that for me. I was not transcending anything. I was not breaking through anything. I was not having. And so as a result, I was disappointed. And then by the 3rd platform, I developed a pretty intense headache behind my left eye, pretty not pleasant. And okay, I'm up there and then you wait a long time because, each time you have to the next person goes and then the next person goes and the next person goes and, and it takes time to clear the line and then you go. And then you're all on the next platform and then they talk about this one and then the next person goes and, So there's a lot of standing there clipped to the tree and waiting and I'm trying to look around and go, God, this is beautiful. But I'm doing that in my head saying, yeah, this is beautiful. But ultimately, it's pretty artificial. It's this is not me enjoying the majesty of. I've enjoyed the majesty of trees just by standing in a forest or even standing on a mountaintop and looking over the majesty of trees. And that's thrilling and soaring in the heart. But there was something about being separated from it by being forced to have this particular type of experience that I was not able to have. I did not have that experience. I was disappointed, pretty thoroughly disappointed. And that kind of sucked.
I hear ya.
Yeah. So, and I think it's related to what I was saying earlier about how we all need different things. What I come to since then is not I don't feel ashamed in judgment of myself for failing to have the right experience. I have a different need / set of body things than I don't know what experience those other people have. I'm creating a story by what I observed.
It's not your preference. It doesn't do it for you.
It just doesn't do it for me. And I was surprised by that. It just was that was kind of just waiting. That was kind of not thrilling, a little boring. I think I would have preferred what I thought it was, which is in and I'm not even sure this is true, in Costa Rica. You hear about canopy tours in Costa Rica, where it's one long, really long zip line. I think that I could have gotten down with. Maybe. I don't know. I'll probably never find out because I don't care.
Sounds like the third line. Exploring
Yeah, I can tell you what didn't work.
and telling us what didn't work. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Rami here. I am leaning up against a redwood right now. I'm in Northern California, outside of the town of Occidental. And I tried to do a zipline adventure through the redwoods with Cassidy, but I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. And the thing is, I thought that might happen, but I was like, no, I'll be able to. But the deal is that I'm whispering because I'm around the trees. I don't know. Anyway, the deal is that I'm not afraid of heights at all. In fact, I love heights. I love flying. I love climbing high places. I love climbing up on cliffs and in trees and rock climbing and everything. I love balancing off of things. I love being a monkey and testing my balance point in space and how I can lean off of a thing and stuff like that. And I have this hard no when it comes to jumping off of things, high things. It's a hard no, and it's not about my brain at all. And I've had it my entire life. My brain sees other people jumping off of things and thinks, oh, look, that looks like fun. Everybody's having fun. I should have fun like they are having fun. And then I'll get up on the thing, love getting up on the thing. And then my body will be like, oh, no, we don't do that. And I'll be like, my brain will be like, come on, body. Everybody else is doing it. It's totally fine. It's safe. It'll be fine. It'll work. Oh, in this case, I was in a very safe harness. And I know that it's just a line. It'll go straight across. It'll just feel like I'm going straight across, only it's over this beautiful thing, blah, blah, blah. And my body's like, no, brain. We don't do this. You know we don't do this. We've made that very clear for the last 40-something years that we don't do this. And the brain's like, oh, right. You're right, body. Sorry. Yeah, I did know. I just thought I'd try just in case. And body's like, really, brain? Really? And the brain was like, yeah, okay, body, you're right. Sorry, you're the wise one. I'm sorry. We'll just not do this. And so I came down, let the other people zip away without me, and I took the truck back. Wah, wah. And it's pretty sad. Once upon a time, it would have been not only sad, but disappointing. I think it's still disappointing. And anger making, judgment making, all kinds of things. But, been doing the spiritual work with Katie, and it's a lot of that self-judgment and stuff is getting much better now. Yeah. But now I'm sitting in a grove of old redwoods. And that's feeling really good. And I don't know that I need to conquer this fear because it's not preventing me from living my life in any way except for jumping off of the high thing, having this particular kind of fun in this particular way that other people are having fun. Yeah, I think I don't need to conquer this fear. It doesn't even feel like fear. My brain's fine with all of it. My body's just like, nope. And I think I'll just listen to that. All right. Anyway, hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. Rami's rules.
I just wanted to just remind us all, when we go back to the beginning of the story, I hope that this will land how I mean it. None of this is like, look at you making a mistake.
Right.
This is about, look at each of us trying to do a thing that sounds good as opposed to what we know our bodies like or don't like. Now, in this case, you maybe didn't know, so it's irrelevant. But either way, you said very distinctly, I'm not the picker, I'm not the chooser, but you chose. And then we wound up maybe more frustrated than fulfilled.
Yeah.
Which is generator, not self-theme frustration. opposite of fulfillment or satisfied.
Yeah.
So it's just something we learn. It's like the experiment of life is learning, when do I choose things that lead to frustration or disappointment as opposed to fulfillment or satisfaction? We could go back to the beginning and look at, I'm not the chooser, but I chose.
Yeah.
As part of it. Anyway, then we could look at, so I just hear it all filtered through your design and reality.
Yeah.
That's cool. It also makes me think about the image types thing and the heart types.
Say more.
Well, you tell me if I'm off on this. It makes me think about, who do I want to seem like I am?
Mm-hmm.
I could choose. Sure, I love you. You want me to choose? I could choose. I'll be that person now.
Yeah.
Rather than, but who are you? Not who could you be, because it would look good to them.
Yeah.
One way to frame it.
Yeah. I mean, and that brings up the whole, like, finding the balance between, like, I don't know, self-improvement, as it were, in the sense of, like, in any relationship, you go to, let's say people go to couples therapy. Like, yeah, it's good for someone to learn how to speak to somebody else in the language they need to be spoken to in, for example, but at what point is that out of line with who you truly are?
Yeah.
Or is it actually you do need to learn to actually actively, because it might be that you are that person, you just haven't been behaving as that person. Yeah, I don't know, like finding the way in which you can take the tools of self-improvement, but not
so far that you lose yourself.
Yeah, not fracture the truth of who you actually are. And I think this was a good example. Like, I want to be, the person who helps create, because that's a gift to the person that I'm interacting with, right? It sucks to always have to do where do you want to eat? I don't know, wherever you want. Like, that's fucking bullshit. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Like, not having any opinions on the table because whatever you say is fine. Like, ugh.
But dude, the more people's charts I look at, I was just talking about this with my human design teacher the other day. I had a client who has so many open centers. She has 2 defined centers. Everything else is open. When I first started working with her like 3-4 years ago, I had judgment of her. I now realize, because I have so much fucking definition in my chart, that I have opinions about every fucking thing. She has no fucking point of view about shit. She has no fucking definition. And I kept thinking, why can't she just lean into her point of view? But then I started to understand human design more. And first of all, I didn't behave that way with her. I didn't act judgmentally toward her. Let me be clear. But that was going on inside of me, and I was checking myself around it. 4 years later, when we do sessions, I'm looking at her design the whole time we're talking, and I'm going, oh, this is a person who's not going to have a point of view, doesn't care, doesn't actually care where we go to eat, doesn't care. That's not what they're here for. I'm going to be the picky bitch that's like, not Italian tonight. It has to be Greek. And then that you want those people who are like, okay, because otherwise, if everybody's defined, we're never going to pick a restaurant. So I would argue that, like, it doesn't suck to be the person who can't choose. You just have to be with people who choose.
Right. So then it's about combinations too, because
Yes.
if you've got two I don't cares, nothing gets done.
That's the whole point of when they talk about activations and mechanics, meaning your gates and channels do with other people what they do, and it's not going to change, and nobody's wrong.
Yeah.
So if you're 2 I don't give a fucks, then you may never go anywhere. Okay.
Yeah. And then maybe that's okay.
But it doesn't suck.
Right.
And it isn't bad. It's just we never go anywhere.
Yeah.
And if we want to go somewhere, we need a third person to show up who's the person that's like, we're doing this now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll say this, and you can please, and Rami too, listening later, I will get a text about this. If I'm off, I want you to tell me. In other words, let me think of the words for this. It's something like, I wouldn't say, no, from what I've heard both of you say, that sounds kind of like some of the stuff that comes up for the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Like the ways that you're mismatched.
Yeah.
Are mechanically what we're describing here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finding ways to accept those mismatches, not be in judgment of them, can be also a useful tool. Rather than going, well, how do we fix that mismatch?
Correct. You just go like, okay, that doesn't fit.
That's not something we are.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But we are these other things, and we can lean into whatever those other things are.
Exactly. And I will say, overall, everything actually is that everything happens for a reason. Everything was kind of what it needed to be in a certain sense because Rami's experience was also, though disappointing on the chart of regular 3D world checklists of like, oh, this is how this should go. Very disappointing in one way, absolutely the catalyst for what they needed.
Which was?
I'll let them have that.
Oh, got it.
I'm being a little vague just because I feel like it's Rami's story. And for me, the same thing, kind of. In a sense, it was useful because it allowed me to learn that about myself, just like that was dumb. And I don't need to do that sort of thing because that's me operating in that doesn't work. And I had to try. But also I was, even in creating that experience, I was sort of operating from my not self.
There you go.
Just like, okay, I'll create this experience, but from a description of how, like wilderness courses are such a they're kind of a stupid thing. They're like, but they're not. They're awesome. And they're also just stupid. Like, come and have this experience breaking through these barriers.
If you're someone who needs that and wants that.
Right. Or what? No, actually, the only barrier I just broke through is whether I could do a ropes course. I didn't actually face my fears and transcend. I didn't. Somebody might. Someone might do ants on a log in a challenge course and then now understand about cooperation and how people can work together in a way they never understand. It's just one of those activities you do on a challenge course, team building stuff where you have to like help each other pass each other on a narrow log. And so you have to work with the whole group, and all those team building things are predicated on this idea that people don't understand how cooperation works.
Right.
But I already do. So I'm never going to have that transcendent experience because there's nothing to transcend.
And it's interesting. I think it's because you have a lot of collective circuitry in your chart.
Yeah.
In other words, you are collectivist. You don't need to learn to be collectivist.
Right. Which is why I do that work.
Yes.
I get to run that work.
Because you teach collectivism, but you don't need to learn collectivism.
Fucking, it's stupid. So it's hard sometimes to do that work because I'm like, it's why I'll say about Feet First and the work I do there, we'll call it team building because that's a marketing word. I don't think it's team building. I think it's team revealing. It reveals the team. The games we play show what your dynamics are.
Okay.
But rarely does it actually teach you how to do it better.
Well, this particular Feet First is that way.
Yeah. And a lot of, challenge courses and stuff, I think they reveal the moment. They show you where your cracks in the armor are, but I don't think they necessarily then. There is one event we do that's just much more reveal and teach, which is a little more directed. But I think most of those kind of game-based challenge courses things or, team building games, the building that's being done is social. It is play and have fun together, and as a result be slightly more bonded, but not, you didn't now learn how to collaborate with Carol from accounting now better. You're not going to you might be friendlier when you walk that ITP request over with her, which is a good thing.
Or if you're really working hard and thinking very deeply about it, which nobody is, you might then be like, oh, I learned about Carol from accounting that she likes da-da-da and isn't good at da-da-da. So I'm not going to go to her for da-da-da, but I will go to her for da-da-da. That
would be the ideal. That's the next level of all this shit is knowing,
applying it.
Is being able to be like, oh, I just noticed that Carol never speaks up. So I'm never going to get that from Carol unless I come at her in a different way. I need to privately request a response from her and not ask her in public.
See, now what I want to say is there are certain companies I work for, what's that one called? Invisian and I don't know, some of these other corporate trainee team building things where it's designed to do that next step. They build that in.
Right.
But certain companies, that's not their priority. The priority is fun times. Now we know each other better. It's the first level.
Yeah, and like the work I do with Speechless is more directed, but it's more, and it's individuated. I'm teaching this person how to analyze their response to things and how they best operate, and also how to look at other people and understand that.
Which I think includes the second step there.
Right.
But it is individual. It's not as groupy.
Yeah.
For what you're doing with them. Yeah. Anyway, all different kinds of companies do all different kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, that is. And the other thing I had the realization of is like, so this is going on to, I don't feel like I want to get into actually the other story because I want to go on to your stories now. But the short version of the story is my show is currently in a challenge point.
Yes, I heard some of these things.
It's in limbo a little bit. I'm not going to go into the details just out of politic. I actually don't know. I'll know within the next probably 12 hours what the fuck is the future. And so it feels a little weird right now, but I'm actually in acceptance of 2 or 3 of the options.
Does it seem like one of the options is the show won't happen?
I think one of the options is the show might happen in some of the iterations of it happening. I won't be in it.
Really?
And some of the iterations I will.
I see.
And that's choice. That's personal choice.
I see.
That's not out of righteous indignation either. That is out of,
I understand.
yeah, that is out of a sense of like,
It's like if this thing happens, I don't really want to do this. But if this thing happens, I do want to do it.
and there is still some like, well, I kind of want to just walk away, but also I feel a little bit like that's too much. That's too big a move and I could do it. Okay, I'll do it in that context. This is acceptable, but not awesome. This choice is the best choice. This choice is also great because it frees me from the problem. But all that is to say, I then started thinking about what gives me joy. If I want to have joy in what I'm doing and not worry about whether I get my health weeks or any of that shit, like what the fuck gives me joy? And yeah, actually being in rehearsal was giving me joy. I was enjoying that. But I don't know if it matters that much. It wasn't like, oh, thank God I'm back. It's like, what gives me joy is having a good time in rehearsal and creating art with humans in a joyful way. The other thing that gives me joy, honestly, I love working with Feet First. I fucking love it. It's a blast. I love it. I have so much fun.
Let me ask you this. What if you threw in, what is joyful and fulfilling? What is that? What question, what answer changes if the word fulfillment or satisfaction? What's satisfying and fulfilling?
In a small measure, the Feet First is actually fulfilling.
Yeah.
70% of the time, 80%. It's just a pretty good number for anybody.
It sounds like it is. Whenever you talk about it, I get that from you.
Yeah, it's like I get to do something and I'm good at it and it's fun. And I also get to go home at the end of the day and not think about it again until the next time.
Yeah.
Like I don't carry it with me at all. It's just like, wee, that was fun. Same thing goes with, now Speechless is more interesting because when I'm looking at, oh God, I have 2 or 3 clients today, every time I'm about to sign on, I'm like, oh God, maybe they'll cancel. And every time I'm doing it, I am in fucking, I'm awesome. I'm good at it. And and I feel good most of the time.
And how do you feel after?
I was great.
Satisfied, fulfilled?
Satisfied, fulfilled. Yeah. Because I did something that I'm good at.
Same. Yeah.
I shone my light and I helped somebody.
Yes.
I'm gonna project and you tell me if this is true. I imagine you thinking about your clients for the day, for example, in your work, in your specific Katie work.
Yep.
And going every day going, fuck, okay. Here I go. I gotta go help Serena with her issues. Okay, Serena. Oh God, here we go with Serena. And then you have a session and most of the time, not all the time, most of the time you're like, oh my God, I brought the fucking light like a fucking witch boss.
There is a lot of truth in what you say. Yep. Yeah, I go through it a lot. We've talked about this where I'm like, I don't want to put myself aside and do this right now. I'd rather, and then it's always amazing and it's always satisfying and fulfilling. That's why I keep coming back to that question is for generators. It's about that. It's not about anything else. It's about that. But we're not taught that in this world. We're taught follow your bliss, follow your passion.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different conversation. Just because I'm aware of the time.
Let's pivot. I want your stories now. I'm done. I've had enough of me.
Is there a point we were going to, I feel like, we were going to tie up any loose ends in there?
The whole point of me telling that story is that not everything fits the narrative of what we are supposed to get out of things or how things are supposed to apply to us is faulty. It's not true. It's not universal.
That's where I keep coming back to. That's what we call deconditioning in human design. Conditioning says it should be this, but truth says, well, for me, it's this other thing. And that's deconditioning away from the judgments of this reality and conditioning into who am I for real? What's satisfying for me, or what's successful for me, or what's depending on your type. That's what I love about human design, is it's teaching people how to know what's actually like, what is the meal for you, not what do people say you should eat.
And then to take that metaphor further, like we can still apply in some general sense, like poison berries probably shouldn't be on a plate, with some exceptions. Like there are broad psychological concepts that, of course, we can apply in a general sense, but they have to be shown in a way that allows for all that individuated exploration.
Well, see, you have a lot more open centers than I have. To me, that feels, I can't get on board with that, but you can. There have been a number of things you've said today that I really enjoy listening to, because I'm like, okay, I'll give you an example. Remember when you were saying a minute ago, this is, by the way, I'm saying this right now for the listener, because my head is always on, let's be sure to be teaching a concept correctly. And I have these human design, spiritual consciousness concepts in my head. So anyway, if you have a bunch of open centers like Cassidy in your design, you might say a sentence like, because you said this a minute ago, and anywhere I'm off, you'll tell me. You were like, if this happens with this play situation, maybe that. And I could also, if this happened, that. But if it's this, I'm not that, maybe, but kind of.
Yeah.
Nope, not for me. For me, I'm like, it's either this or I'm not doing it.
Right.
Because I am very defined. I have a lot of fixed, rigid ways that it's either works for me or it doesn't fucking work for me. And the reason I want to land on this point, for the listeners who it took me a long time to decondition out of, because I'm spiritual, quote, quote, I have to be so open and flexible to everything being okay for me.
Right.
People think spirituality means open to everything being okay for me as an individual. No, it doesn't. The more spiritual I get, the more specific I become myself. I become really Katie Rubin-y, because I got nothing to prove. I don't need your approval. I don't need to fit in. I need to be who I am. But again, even that sentence, that's somebody with definition in their G center. You don't have definition in your G center.
Nope.
You don't need who is Cassidy and I don't do what's not me. You're way more flexible than that. And so I'm saying this for all of us to understand that there is no one place to get to. There are no right, broad, general anythings. There's what is true for you. But you can handle more broad, general things because you have 75 open centers. So that's all.
And then the journey is actually learning how to actually know / learn what is true for you. Like that, I think, is that's maybe the broad concept I could place. Like and maybe that's not that, we are taught, this is the deconditioning thing. We are taught like, whatever open your heart and love unconditionally or whatever. That's a concept that we are given, that is put in front of us. And so then we don't question that, and we say, okay, so how that applies to all the different ways in which I operate. Oh, then I have to fix this and stop doing things this way and start doing things this way.
That's the definition of conditioning. Go ahead.
Right. But then there is the idea, okay, but it is true that if I want to learn what is true for me, sometimes I have to stop doing this or start doing this in order to get to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so those starts and stops, shoulds and tasks, like we still have tasks to achieve, but it's to get to what is true as opposed to what is told to be shoulded.
Mm-hmm. It's deconditioning.
It's the deconditioning.
Well, and you also sound like a third line there. You're saying I have to trial and error. I have to try stuff.
I have to learn this.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I fell in love with 3 people.
Good.
And I saw a bullet train.
Okay.
The film.
Yeah.
And I jet skied. And I think that's it. Okay. So here's the story from jet skiing.
What's the order? Okay. Tell us the jet ski story.
Well, so I jet skied. The end. It was gorgeous outside. It was in a part of the Florida waterways that was very Evergladesy, but not. It was like river with a lot of marsh on the left and right that led to the ocean, but you go so long on the river that you never get to the ocean in your hour-long jet ski adventure. I saw a dolphin playing by himself. I took a video of it. I loved it. It was amazing. The story I want to tell about it, though, is when I pulled up, parked my car, I had an appointment. Oftentimes when you jet ski, as a jet ski expert, I could say, when you jet ski, you get to a place where there's like 2 guys running it and they got 10 skis and they got 5 people out right now and 5 people coming back. And there's a lot going on, and you put the thing on and they give you the training and you wear your life jacket and you have to learn the things and da-da-da. This was a single guy with 1 jet ski. So I get to it. There's a guy and
one jet ski.
And a dock.
Not a fleet of jet skis.
And a jet ski. And I go, hi, so this is like your private jet ski? He was like, so then what happened was the story. I have this experience regularly in my life where people who meet me for the first time will oftentimes tell me their entire life story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Or they'll unload something very intimate and personal. They'll go like, so this is what this guy said. I said, hi, I'm Katie. He was like, great, here we are. This is the ski. I go, oh, this is just, it's like just your ski. And he had a real heavy North Carolina accent. North Carolina's very like, keep lips together, keep teeth together, everything. North Carolina. Like a lot of times I like could not understand what he was saying, but it was like very hot. It was like real manly and sexy. I was like, this guy cuts down trees in his free time. Anyway, I like was totally attracted to him. He says, oh, I'm not going to do the accent the whole time because it's too hard. But he goes, it's my ski because I used to have gyms in North Carolina. I had 5 gyms. And then I had sickle cell anemia, followed by something carcinoma, followed by a third kind of cancer and I used to weigh 240. And then I was down to 120 because, chemo's a bitch. And then I kicked it because, God is great. And then I sold my businesses. I came down here and I opened a jet ski business because I always wanted to. Now I have 5 skis. And the first time I went out on a ski, I had a stroke on the ski. Then I had to drive myself back to the land. But luckily there's a hospital right there. And the doctor said to me, well, you got a, what do they call it? A
blood clot.
A blood clot in your leg. And if it moves, you're going to die. And so he put me on a stretcher and it moved and I died. And I was like, what? He goes, and he was like, then I was on the table and they brought me back to life and they fixed the clot and here I am and God is great and it is Sunday and that's my testimony. Now you're going to put your hand here. You're going to put your thing on here. And I was like, what is happening? So I go, Kevin, Jesus, what?
Did you say Jesus to him?
I did. And then I said like, literally, because he was like a Christian man. We had a good laugh. So it was like within 20 seconds of meeting him, I knew his entire life story, which is very common for me. I was very flattered and thought it was cool because, again, I thought he was hot and sexy. Got on the jet ski, had my experience, came back. There he was. He had me drive the ski up onto his jet ski trailer, which was attached to the back of his truck, his North Carolina truck. And so now I'm in a bathing suit with a life jacket over it, on top of a jet ski, on top of a trailer, behind a truck, being driven through the streets. He drove me in his truck to my car in my bathing suit on top of a jet ski on top of a trailer. I was like, do you give everybody a ride back to their car? And he's like, no, just when it makes sense. You're there and I'm here and your car's over there. I figured you don't have shoes on. He's like being a gentleman. So I'm like up like 20 feet above the rest of the cars in traffic in a bathing suit, chubby and middle-aged, just being like, hello, world.
Did you wave Miss America style?
I certainly did.
Parade style?
Super parade style.
Nice.
Got back to my car. I kind of hoped he'd ask me out because we had like a vibe. He did not. But I did say to him.
It was Sunday.
It was the Lord's Day.
It was the Lord's Day.
I did say to him, hey, seriously, I'm trying to buy a jet ski at some point in my life. If ever you want to get rid of one of these and it's kind of like affordable, hit me up. And he was like, actually, my friend has a jet ski business. He wants to get rid. I'll connect you. And I was like, sweet, connect me.
Now I can give you my number.
I'm having fun with some local improv people. I'm back into an improv scene in a new city, but like whatever. It's just so fun to be like meeting people and laughing. And here's the other thing. They like welcomed me into their clan so easily. I went to one jam and wasn't unfunny. And they were like, this woman, thank God for this woman.
No, that's an experience that I understand that experience. Like that happened to me 15, 20 years ago at this point when I first met Sam Shaw and Chris Hayes and all those folks. I came to a jam that they'd been running, and immediately it was like when you see certain people, you're like,
Oh, she's one of us.
thank God, like there's another human that we want to have at all of our things. And yeah, so of course that's the second you walked in and did it differently and did it more maturely and more dynamically and more deeply than the normal person, that they were going to be like, come be our friend.
But it's just so nice for me, just because, like, right now, what I need more than anything is to feel connected to people and to belong and have community and have it be funny people who are fun loving. Like, God damn it, I need that right now.
Yeah.
And they're just so sweet and delightful. And I'm just so happy to be a part of it. And we have this huge backyard. And I was telling them last night at the movie, I was like, if we put a little easy stage over in that corner of my backyard, there's room for 600 chairs here. We could do an outdoor show anytime we want. They're all about it. They're like, okay, yeah, fuck yeah. So the plan is 2 of them are getting married this week.
Okay.
So they're going away to get married.
To each other?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
And then they're going to come back and we're going to have a little hang session in our backyard here and drink drinks and talk about what's possible. And I just feel really, they're very nice. Whereas, you know how sometimes my big conflict the entire time of my life with performance stuff has been, where are the like welcoming, kind, warm, fuzzy people who are all actually also good at this stuff?
Yeah.
I just think it just hasn't, that's just how I felt. I don't think that's a true statement. That's just how I've always felt in the contexts I've been in, except like you and Sam, I always felt that way with. I was like, I love them. They're nice and wonderful people. And we do smart, funny improv. Yay. This feels like one of those, like a community of like, they're welcoming me and they're good at it.
Right. And they already have a framework, so you don't have to build a fucking framework, which is nice.
Such a delight.
And
I have things to bring to them too. I'm already like.
But you saw their shows and didn't hate it.
Correct.
That's another part of it.
That's a huge part of it.
It's a huge part of it. You go to a show and you're like, oh, I like them, but I just don't want to be part of this, is what is often a problem.
I will tell you, the one thing I'm struggling with is they do a lot of the like improv that always has to be high intensity.
Right. Run out and clap. All right, everybody.
Like, performers, are you ready? Yes. And okay. How about we just do a scene? Do we have to comedy? I don't.
Yeah.
But there's a couple people on stage with them who really kind of, you can tell, are like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, I'll be with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I have such strong opinions about that whole framework, and and they've changed, and I've been inspired by different people. But I remember, so I don't like when a group is sloppy, like in their sort of framing, and then not good.
Yeah.
If they're just like, oh, we're going to do this game, and then they do the game, and you're like, but you didn't even do the thing you said you were going to do, and you didn't actually tell us what you were going to do, but I knew what you were supposed to do, and you didn't do it. So at least let's start with you explaining the game clearly and sharp. So that's why, so step 1 is become, players, are you ready? Great. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we need from you, the audience. So that's like step 1 in an evolution.
Yep.
Of getting it. Because that says, okay, let's clarify, let's wipe the smear off of our glasses. Let's clarify the vision. And that helps with the audience. But then I remember, after doing that for a while and having strong opinions about that, I saw this one group. They were called Iron Cobra. I was at a festival, and they just kind of strolled on stage, and people have been writing things in the papers, and they were like, okay, hey, how's it going? Cool. What do we got? We got some papers, and yeah, I don't want to use that one.
They were bad at no structure. Yeah.
And it was some of the most brilliant, connected, deeply satisfying improv I'd ever seen. God. And I just was like, you're allowed to do that? You're allowed to do that? And that's what I thought. You're allowed to do that. Like there was a set of rules and expectations. And so ever since that, I've been sort of seeking that balance of like clarity without stricture, without restriction, or without that sense of play that is just like, look, we're here with you. Let's see what we can find, without it just being like, and then we're just going to be organic and we're going to feel it. And then nothing happens. And it's terrible because all you're doing is feeling.
Yep. Where's that middle ground? That's the thing. Yeah, that's what I'm excited to see if these guys want to explore. And there may be just a couple people there who want to explore that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Either way, it's fun. It's been fun. So that happened. And then there's just being in love in general with this area and that continuing to baffle me. Okay, last update. I'll say this last thing. I have had this idea, and this can be a spiritual, because I do have a client at 2, so we got to wrap up. Spiritual context thing. I've been talking a lot about this part of the world has 5 planets, 5 exalted planets in my chart. So it's like very supportive environment for me, which I've literally never been a part of one of ever. What a supportive environment is, I like don't know what that is. And I'm here and I keep experiencing it. And I keep being like, I'll message Rami and be like, and then they were nice and said yes. And I'm like, okay. And then this person thought I was attractive and wanted to date me. And I was like, all right. Like all this positive, supportive. And then the theater lady said, yes, we'll meet with you. You should teach here. Okay. Like there's so much of that happening for me here. And I am day by day more and more amazed by astrology and human design because of it.
Yeah.
Because everything matches everything I've been taught all this time. Anyway, sorry, that was supposed to be a background to the third thing I was going to say, which was this. For a long time, I've had this idea. It's goofy and silly. I want to be a part of an adult professional choir. I was in a children's choir my whole childhood. That was professional. We went to Vienna. We sang at Carnegie Hall. We sang with Gloria Estefan in Miami. Like we were legit kids that you would fly around the world and have them sing places. My childhood choir conductor and I have become buddies in adulthood and I was like the head chorister. I was always kind of a leader in the group. And he and I were just tight, and even when I was a kid. And we stayed in touch and now we're tight again. He kind of came back into my life. So about a year ago, I was like, so hey, Tim, what if we did a choir and you conduct it and it's 5-part harmony and you go to it and you think you're hearing classical music and it's classically sung, but it's all like booty shaking songs. It's all like my tits, my ass, my pussy, you know. Tim was not interested. Tim was like,
nope. He wasn't trying to do a choral arrangement of WAP.
I really think he should, though. Anyway, he was polite about it. He's like, I don't know. But then when I moved to Jacksonville, I was like, hey, so I'm moving back to Florida. I'm coming to Jacksonville. He was like, oh, I know 2 big choir people there that I'll connect you with. So he's connected me with both of them, one of whom I called immediately. And that person has called me back. And we have a meeting on Wednesday. And so I'm just like, I don't think yet is the moment to introduce my pussy choir idea. But down the road, it could be. Right now, I just want to see how like the choir, like this is a guy who got, he's apparently like a finance wizard and he got $2.5 million from the city to like build their new rehearsal space. So this is I could maybe collaborate, bring them together with the Theater Jacksonville people. Like there could be a collaboration that could occur. Or in like, if I get to do some of these series I want to do, we could use them to do this and everybody together helps each other. So it could be a really cool synergistic thing. So I just want to meet him and connect with him. But also one day, maybe he'll conduct my pornographic 5-part harmony choir. The end.
May that be in your future.
And like never anywhere else that I've ever, where you go a place and somebody gives you a number and you call them and the person calls back and wants to hang out and meet you. He's like an adult with all the money and all the people. And he's like, sure, Katie Rubin, I'll have lunch with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's amazing. I feel that. I feel that deeply.
I think it's the astrology. I think it's the astrology. It's just correct for me. It's correct. This is why I want to talk about it all is when I keep harping on follow your strategy and authority, what's correct for you, who are you really, what's not you, who are you pretending to be, deconditioning. These ideas are all for life to be more like this. Like what if it could flow and you could be supported and it could work and it could feel good and it could, you know?
Yeah.
And I have such passion for that because of how bad it's been. I have a drive for it to be really good because it's been so bad. So I'm like, let's work hard to figure out all the secrets to the universe so that it could maybe flow and be good.
Right.
So do your work.
And then you'll go That's happening right before, leading up to your 50th birthday.
Coming off the roof.
And then they'll say like, that felt good, right? Oh, it all happened. No.
Except no, doesn't have to be bad. It's just jarring because I'll come out of the second line hermitage.
Right.
But if it's all flowing and supportive and I'm ready, that's the thing they talk about, is if you're living correctly as your design, even a jarring thrust into the world doesn't throw you, because you're living correctly as yourself. You wouldn't choose anything that's unfulfilling.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Anywho, I gotta urinate and I love you so much.
Oh, yeah, you got to go do your damn work. Go pee, go see your people, go be fulfilled as a spiritual teacher. Namaste. Mwah.
Namaste. Hallelujah. Bye.
You asking for all of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Do we need to cut that part out?
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
All right, let's Des, just cut that last conversation out.